Okay, good evening, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome to our Friday live sessions and discussions. I've got a couple of really great guests this evening that I'm looking forward to speaking with. Very different perspectives. Like last Friday when we had Gary and Sally and Charles. Very different perspectives, but really kind of adding their take on what's happening in the world right now. And gosh, another momentous week in our world. Things all over the place. And so I'm really interested to speak with our guests tonight, to find out their experience of this moment and how they're dealing with this time and what are they learning. And as time passes, what are we going to be left with that's forwarding and powerful and lasting? So I'm looking forward to those conversations. I just want to tell everybody quickly just a couple of synergy things before we get into the real topic at hand. Because the world has also been so, like, the volume has been on a 20 in the last few weeks. I just want to remind everybody and bring present again some of the ways from Synergy's point of view that we're looking to support you. I know for myself, these Friday evening conversations, the different online programs we've been running, those have been so helpful to me to keep me grounded, to keep me, above the line, if you like, to keep me moving forward and purposeful rather than, maybe sometimes wanting to cave in or not throw in the towel, but kind of like slow down a bit. And this is not a moment to slow down for me. So all of these things have been really helpful to keep me going. So I just want to remind everybody, the Legacy membership, which we launched a couple of weeks ago. And then, of course, everything changed. But I just want to remind you, it's a great way to remain, at your pace and in your way of doing it, connected deeply with the Synergy community, with the distinctions you've already learned, to be reminded of, to bring them back into the present. So I just want to remind everybody about that. There's more information on the website about that. Also, this Sunday and the following Sunday will be, for the moment, our last advanced course refreshers. And that's going to be from 10 to 12:30 in the morning, this Sunday and the following Sunday. So again, really rave reviews from the graduates that attended that, and it brought back, so many of the distinctions of the advanced course, like, at hand once again. And then we pushed back a couple of weeks because, again, everybody's, distracted at the moment, but Living with Vitality with Dr. Nidia Carrero and Samira Duja, who are both medical health professionals, and really bringing a point of view of transformation to one's health, well-being, and vitality. So that's another thing, just to, again, all the information for those things are on the website. And then with Synergy Business Associates, we have been working very hard for the last 3 months to bring into reality our online modules, which we've called Leadership on Demand. And we have begun doing those, and they are home run. So it brings the distinctions of Synergy, like above the line, below the line, be, do, have, being on the ice in these stands, the red and black game, tools of communication, like challenging conversations, on and on and on. And we've packaged them into like 2.5 hour modules that we're, doing inside of organizations right now. And it's a home run. So if, wherever you might work, or friends that are, people inside of companies, they don't have to be the CEOs. Okay, this is it's a smaller access point than the face-to-face programs that we used to run. And it's really helping companies, companies and therefore employees, workers, team leaders, et cetera, who are struggling a bit at this moment. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to Monica or myself, or Yali, and we'd be happy to, tell you a little bit more information about how those work. Okay, they're really a home run. And the first module is complimentary. which we call the Synergy Fundamentals. So it's really, again, an easy access into an organization who's never brought Synergy in before. All right. So now, I just wanted to remind everybody of that, but now I want to get into the conversation at hand tonight. And I'm going to invite our guest to come in, and there she is.
Hi.
Hey, SaCha, I hear you. Okay, great. So it's really great to see you. And thank you for being a yes to tonight's conversation. I can, I know and I can imagine how much life is right now. And one of the reasons that I wanted to invite you tonight is because you're one of the young folks in dealing with what's happening in the world. Are you 20?
Yes, I am.
You're the big 20. Okay, so, not 100 years old like me. So I'm really interested in, your experience as a young woman, as a young Black woman, taking a stand in the world and also trying to make your own way in your own life at the same time. So I'd like to start, and by the way, these are totally random questions. Hi, everybody. I see you guys commenting on the side. So, hey, everybody. And I'd like to also, SaCha, just set up like this moment, like you and I are just sitting and having a conversation, okay? Totally open, totally honest, 100% yourself, just nothing fancy or scripted, just you. So how has this moment affected you? How has what's happening in the world affected you, your experience, however you want to answer that?
It's really been eye-opening for me. Like, I've always known the Black struggle in America, you learn about it. My parents have talked to me about it. But New York City being the city it is, you kind of forget all that. Like, while racism and like all the isms heavily exist in New York City, like as a young woman, I was so focused on myself, getting my education and, learning and experiencing, being 20, like all that stuff. And so it's been quite, with Corona and everything, just the world sort of feels like it's crumbling around me. So it's been difficult for sure. But having the right support around me, which is like that's really like saved me and got me through, the whole all the coping that's needed with this.
Yeah. So you're still in your studies?
Yeah, I try to be. I feel like my studies distracted me from what was going on, like, because this has always been a thing. It's just, it's coming to light now with George Floyd and like with, physical like video evidence of just the blatant racism. But and so I feel like before, like, my studies were distraction, but now it's just like fully, it's here, it is, this is it. Like, the reality is sort of broken into my whatever reality I have built up for myself.
Right.
And, yeah.
Right. And yeah, it's a lot. So from your experience, what do you think, and I don't know if you have an answer to the question, what do you believe is going to make a difference right now? Like, what are you fighting for? There's some obvious answers to that, but like maybe a combination of those two questions. Like, what are you fighting for? What's your stand, so to speak? And what do you believe is going to make a difference right now?
Well, currently I am taking the steps of defunding the police. Like, I'm working with my friends, we're trying to do all the small things that we can do to move toward that. But I do believe the ultimate goal for myself is to abolish the police. In my opinion, I feel like they're an unnecessary gang in New York City. There are smaller jobs within the whole justice and legal system that will obviously be kept and like are necessary, need to be maintained. And social workers should be like, I feel like most of the time people call the police, it's usually in the need of a social worker, someone to really diffuse the situation. And I feel like with just their lack of training and just the years and years of this city not really stepping up to properly police the police, like, I have a hard time believing that like there can really be reform within. I think jobs just need to be restructured and removed, and the gang needs to be disbanded a little bit. Yeah, like that's my current stance. That's currently what I am working towards. While like everyone's safety is always in everyone's mind, like safety is first. I don't think the police are necessary for the safety that everyone feels like needs to feel comfortable.
Okay, so one of the things I saw on my news shows this week was I think he was a professor, I think at John Jay, and he was really breaking down what that meant, what defund the police meant. And I can't say it because he said it so, first of all, it's his world. He's in the legal, as a law professor, but really you were right in from, at least from his point of view as well. So many times when people are calling 911, it's for things that are something else, whether it's, domestic issues or mental health issues or physical health issues, that there's no, it doesn't, there's not the same level of support. Everybody knows to call 911, but people call 911 for everything. So yeah, so there's a way potentially to, okay, I got it. Because it's controversial. It's controversial when you hear people say defund the police. They're like, well, what are you talking about? There'll be chaos in the streets. And so I know you wouldn't be saying that. It's a conversation about and I hear you too, there's so much entrenched. I work in the NYPD, not from Synergy's point of view. Boy, that was trying to change minds in that environment was pretty challenging, I have to say.
No, yeah, it really is like a brotherhood.
Yeah.
Whether there are, it's not all men, it's obviously women involved, but it's the mentality of a brotherhood. Their loyalty is to each other and to the badge. And so how can you really diffuse the situation when you have that bias in the back of your head? Right. At the end of the day.
Yeah. So there's, there's definitely, everything is being kind of taken out on the table right now. How do you feel? Here's my last question for you, because this is a question that I have. How do you, there's always a lot of discussion, of course, when it goes quiet, is all this going to go away and we'll just 3 months from now be exactly where we were? It's a concern. I think it's a concern for everybody, how can we continue to take a stand for something that actually will be lasting difference? What do you feel about that?
I feel like the importance is building your communities. I feel like if we're talking about lasting change, I'm just losing track of my words, but yeah, if we're talking about longstanding change, and I think for me personally, a fire has been ignited. I'm trying to make sure it does not get silent, and movements are still continuously being made. I'm definitely still seeing a lot of people in the streets, like myself, as I'm protesting. It's still a lot of large numbers, which is great. But I believe, longstanding change is really trying to build up Black communities and POC communities and disenfranchised communities, bringing the power and the money back to them. Because these people will grow and then, be inspired to do things of their own, though also of their community, and their kids will be inspired to do things of their own to help the community. So I feel like if people are looking for things to do, and when it comes to keeping it going and, extending, the movement, it would have to be building up the communities and giving them the same information and resources that we share that gives us the mentality to keep going,
Right. Great. No, great. 100%. And, I don't know that it was ever very well hidden, but racism is being sung from the rooftops right now. It's shocking. I mean, I don't know. I guess it shouldn't be shocking, but everything about this little while is shocking. But the way that policeman was just watching the person video him, he didn't give a shit that they were being people right now are they don't give a shit how racist they're sounding. So laws have to be changed, and it's people talk all the time. It's systemic change. It is systemic change. It's it's not bits and pieces. It's an overhaul, and so
everything is connected.
Everything is connected. You can't lift up over here and then but pull this away over there. So, all right, great. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate your voice. obviously from all of us, shout out to millennials. That's what somebody's writing over there. So, you are the voice of the future, okay? And you are obviously a bright light and a smart light and a beautiful light, and be safe. And thank you for joining us on Friday night. And, can't wait to, I'm like, this is like so stupid, but I am not, everybody knows this about me. I'm not a hugger, but now all I want to do is like get out and hug people. Like,
there you go.
All right, my darling. So thanks for being with us tonight, okay? And have a great night, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Love you guys.
Love you. Thank you, darling. Okay, and then, so I'll just wait a second for our other guest to join us. And your camera doesn't seem to be on right now. My other guest, I'm not going to give you away just yet. But hopefully your camera will come on. So hi, everybody. And, for me, there is, inside of what SaCha was sharing, of course, inside of my own experiences, part of the challenge for me during these weeks has been to understand exactly where Synergy's role is in the midst of this time. And, it's been complicated for me in the sense that, we have graduates of all shapes and sizes, so to speak, okay, all stripes, all beliefs. And where does our community want to take a stand around that has been a challenging way to navigate for me during this time. And so I just want you to know, for me, and I'll speak for myself, this is a critical moment in history as far as I'm concerned. This is a moment, in my experience, I have not found as much of an opportunity to make change as I see right now, lasting change. And I do feel strongly with what I said. There are wholesale changes to be made right now. The injustice, which it's not been subtle, but, so I wouldn't even say below the surface. It's just there. We maybe it hasn't been in our noses like it is right now. So for me, the chance to make big changes, political changes, legal changes, societal changes, is for me what I'm fighting for through this moment. And at the same time, bringing with that a conversation of win-win. Because it can't just be from there all the way over to here in terms of who gets to win. It's got to be everybody gets to win, including people I don't like, including people I disagree with, including people who I think are ignorant idiots, including people who I think have not opened their eyes before. It's in plain sight. I don't know what's so confusing. It's in plain sight. But there's the chance to make changes and bring win-win from a bumper sticker to the way the world will move forward. And you know what? I think it's fortuitous that we have an election this year. I think that it is fortuitous that it's summertime, so the ability to be out on the streets is there more easily. And people are videoing everything right now. So all the stuff that otherwise could remain in the shadows is not going to be remaining in the shadows. So I don't know. I think our guest is having a hard time getting on tonight. And she's tried to join a couple of times and then her video wasn't working. So I'll just wait another minute and see if she's successful. And then if not, I will invite her back next week if she can't get on tonight, and we'll try to figure out the technical difficulties. But the last thing that I just want to say from Synergy's point of view is that I see our role right now, if I was to put it into like a sentence or two, my role, I don't see my role as telling anybody what they should do. There's plenty of people right now who have great guidance and great advice about how to make a difference, how to participate, what organizations really align with their own sense of values. So there's a lot of people sharing resources right now. I see more my role is around, great, it's gonna work now. So I see my role right now, Nidia, there's Nidia, okay. I know, I'm sorry, that was a bit of a hack.
Yeah.
And now it's crackly. I'm not sure if it's for me.
Maybe now better.
I think when you talk, maybe it's fine. So I'm going to
sorry.
shut up. I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, okay?
Okay.
So welcome. So I want to start with, pretty much everybody knows that you're a doctor. People know you are a Cuban woman. So what has your experience been through this time?
You know, that's such a great question. Certainly the movements that we've been seeing and the rioting has been intentional to the Black community. But one of the issues that the Black community focuses on mostly is racism. And, you know, even though what they're rioting about, what they're demanding rights and more acknowledgement about is Black movement, racism has really been something that most minority groups, quote unquote, those that are not from, you know, the US of A, white Anglo-Saxons, we know our own version of that. I can't speak to, you know, the level and the depth of racism that the Black community has and continues to endure, but I do understand the concept of racism in many platforms. One, as a woman. One, second, as a Latina woman. Thirdly, as a immigrant Latina woman. So yes, I can empathize, I can sympathize with what they're saying, but we also know our own versions of that. And I think that's really not unique to the Black people, although again, not to take anything away, you know, the depth and the pain of that is real. But for most of us that are considered by some to be minorities, we know our own versions of that. So yeah, I get it.
Which the upside to that is it brings connection to the moment, compassion to the moment, right? The fight is also our fight. So, okay, great. Yeah.
The fight is real.
Yeah. And when I talk, is bringing clicking. I'm so sorry, everybody, if you're feeling that too. I want to ask you a synergy question. What ways of being have you focused on during these weeks and months within yourself to kind of, you know, be your best self through this difficult time?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I think for me is what I always reach for is powerful, always grounded in who I am, authentic as a woman, as a Latina woman, as a physician in a world of white men, always tapping into that sense of who I am, that I can be anything that I put my mind to. Those ways of being have always been very ingrained before Synergy and really highlighted and cemented through Synergy. So yeah.
Great. You know, I'm very grateful for my own work in this field over all these years because, and also it helps that I'm older and I've been steeped in this work for so many years. But I don't want to say it comes naturally. It comes fairly easily. And I could have my moments, and I'm perfectly peaceful with that. But the practice, I guess, over all the years has made it a little second nature at this point, which is I'm very grateful for. And so just a big, broad question. What's your wish for the future?
What is my wish for?
The future.
Oh, wow. That's it's a loaded question. And I guess, you know, in what compartment, in what sense of the question. I mean, as a community, as a whole, when I practice in New York City, and I leave every day from my office and I look around, and I see so much diversity, and I see so much brotherhood, really, unlike many other places. And I'm sometimes surprised that we have to remind ourselves to be, loving and togetherness. But if I had to think about that, my wish is for that to continue, to deepen, to be more harvested, to be more of a focus point for all of us moving forward. And also a bit more compassion, I want to say, for the people in power. And I mean all people in power, right? I mean the police department and the physicians and the clergy people that have influence, have more compassion towards the people that have less ammunition, less opportunities, to be more loving towards them, to be more inclusive of them. I think if we can all do that, it's a great start. It would be a great start. I really do.
Great. Well, thank you. You're a wise woman. We're very grateful to have you in our community, and
thank you, Peter.
We're very thankful that you continue to stand for others, not just professionally, but in our role of transformation as well.
Thank you.
So thanks for being on tonight. Okay, I love you, my dear. All right, talk to you soon. Okay.
Bye, Pete.
Have a great weekend. Let's see if the clicking stops. Maybe it is. Okay. So I just wanted to end tonight on the thing that I was saying before Nidia joined us, that I want to remind all of us, of course, that our ways of being, married with action, is very powerful. Being clear about what you're committed to, understanding your place in this moment. And if you're like me, it's not been a moment where I questioned anything at the core of my self. It's just more a questioning around what's my place in this moment? How do I make the biggest difference and contribution in this moment? It's been more questions of those. But what I know is, once I'm clear about what my commitments are, and it's such an easy way to move through life, in the sense that it keeps us directed. It keeps the road more or less straight. Once I'm clear about what I'm committed to, and then bring awareness and bring discipline and bring focus around the person I'm being as I go about fulfilling those commitments, it keeps me more or less on the straight and narrow during difficult times. I mean, I feel that these months have been filled with more pressure than I don't know if I've ever experienced, or certainly for a super long time. And so I just want to remind us all of our ways of being and paying attention to the human being you are. And as Nidia pointed out, bringing compassion. And as SaCha was sharing, was really bringing passion. So bringing all of those things to bear, and being loving together, loving with each other, compassionate toward each other. It's really through those ways of moving forward that I see, clarity of path. So thanks for being part of tonight's discussion again, and always. I appreciate, obviously it's not a conversation with each of you directly, but I appreciate the opportunity to, share in this kind of setting each week with you. And I hope that it makes a difference for you and gives you something to kind of think about each Friday as we, live through these times together, these historic times together. And just, again, stay connected. Look at the website and check out what's happening and be a part of it if you can. And I just want to say I love you all. Be safe. Take care of each other. And I'll see everybody next week, okay, if not before. All right, have a great, safe weekend, everybody, and we'll see you.